The story begins as Mineko Goto, the executive secretary of the Zaizen group, addresses a large crowd of confused gatherers. They are currently standing on the outer compound of Dream World, an ambitious amusement park that the group is currently building. Mineko gets straight to the point. They are searching for a worthy successor to the group's present CEO, Murio Zaizen. Everyone gathered here will undergo a test to see if they are fit to compete for this prestigious post. Her announcement is met with confusion, as none of the people gathered were informed about any kind of tests. However, Mineko brushes off their murmurs and continues with her speech. She points out that the Zaizen group is valued at least 100 trillion yen. Whoever walks away as the winner of this test will become the successor, the king of such a valuable company. And as if this wasn't already enticing enough, Mineko adds one more prize. The winner of their test will be personally awarded a mind-boggling sum of 100 billion yen. She draws the crowd's attention towards a large box kept in front of her. Mineko then gestures to her minions to remove the curtain that is hiding the contents of the box. The gathered crowd gasps in awe as a huge stack of money several meters tall stands right in front of them. Far away in the headquarters of the group, the enigmatic CEO Murio Zaizen watches the crowd's reaction on his CCTV feed. It is obvious that he is a betting man who likes twisted games of risk and reward. The scene then shifts to 8 hours ago as the streets of Tokyo are abuzz with the talk of a rather chivalrous thief named Zero. He is a Robin Hood-style thief who steals from scammers and gives the money back to the victims. In his latest act of heroics, Zero has recovered 100 million yen from the notorious gang Kanto Onigame. He has sent half of that money in cash, along with all the withdrawal slips, to a local news channel. This mysterious figure has also sent a letter promising to give justice to every last victim of such frauds. Elsewhere in Tokyo, a young math teacher named Yuri is tutoring a bunch of middle school kids. He is a prodigy with an extremely high IQ and aptitude for mathematics. His classes involve high-tech 3D holographics, which help the students to visualize geometry very easily. But Yuri's natural ability doesn't make him arrogant. If any student doesn't understand even the most basic of concepts, he goes out of his way to help such kids. Unbeknownst to his class, Yuri is also the man behind the persona of the infamous thief, Zero. He works with 3 of his friends, Shikara, Hiroshi, and Sunao, to help the victims of large financial scale scams. It is revealed that several months ago, Yuri had saved these 3 from ending their lives. They were extremely frustrated with their lives and were about to suffocate themselves in a car. That is when Yuri found the vehicle and dragged the trio out to safety. He then gave them an opportunity. Instead of throwing away their lives, they should help him in stopping financial crimes. Yuri also gave each of them a poisoned candy, saying that if they ever wanted to end their lives again, they could simply gulp down the candy. Unfortunately, the 3 friends are soon abducted by brothers Sakura and Saigi Suzaki, members of the Kanto Onigame gang. They now plan to use these 3 to capture the real mastermind, Zero. The cowardly Chikara immediately folds under pressure and agrees to reveal Zero's location. However, before the thugs can plan their next move, Yuri himself arrives at the spot and introduces himself as Zero. Turns out the candies that Yuri had given his friends weren't poisoned at all. They had GPS trackers inside, so that Yuri would know whenever his friends were in trouble. Earlier that night, he had seen all 3 of them gathered in the same spot in some obscure location, so he suspected they were in trouble. Just then, Zero, his friends, and the 2 goons are joined by Mineko and Murio Zaizen. They are stunned to see the high-profile CEO of Zaizen Group in such a drab location. The old man then uses his enigmatic presence to convince everyone to participate in his gambling game, a kind of mental test named the Bravest Money Game. Following this, the story circles back to the first scene as Mineko explains the working of the tests to the gathered crowd. The first game involves a riddle, and if a person can't solve it, a giant iron ball will fall from overhead, crushing them to death. She adds that the first game will happen in this area, and those who pass it will be allowed to enter Dream Kingdom for the final selection. At the beginning of the game, Mineko tosses a dice into a container, showing its face on the screen for everyone to see. She throws the dice 3 times, and each time, the number 1 appears on the screen. After the 4th throw, she covers the container, starting the actual game. Participants must rely on their intuition and observational skills to guess the number. Each face of the die has 6 large rings numbered from 1 to 6. Participants pick a ring to stand on, corresponding to their guesses. If they guess right, they can enter the Dream Kingdom, but if they guess wrong, a a real iron ball will fall on them. They have 30 minutes to decide, and anyone not in a ring by then gets disqualified. Also, chatting with others or sharing answers leads to disqualification. Mineko then rings the gong, kicking off the 30-minute countdown. When Chikara hears the rules of the dangerous game, he freaks out. This sparks an argument between him and Hiroshi. The coward wonders if they can stay safe by leaving the ring immediately after a wrong guess. Hiroshi calculates that with just a 1/6 chance of survival, there's an over 80% chance of death. Suddenly, Saigi, who is standing nearby, jumps into the discussion, suggesting that the chances of rolling a 2 to 6 are also 1 out of 6. Sakura then shares his theory that the dice might be rigged, suggesting its mass is shifted, causing certain faces to come up more often. The dice is unstable because its weight isn't balanced, which could explain why the number 1 kept appearing repeatedly. He thinks that Mineko instructed them to rely on intuition and observation to guess the number. So, choosing 1 based on the die's weight is a decision made through observation. Saigi counters that if Sakura is so sure about his answer, he should be the first to step into the ring. Amidst the discussions, Mineko speaks up and offers the participants a favor. She says that anyone in a ring when the game ends, regardless of their guess being right or wrong, will be allowed to join the next game. However, this will apply to them if they are still alive. While the participants ponder over the offer, Shirube, a third-year student from a private middle school, heads to the number 1 ring. Seeing this, other participants follow him into the ring, thinking he might have figured something out, but Zero is still contemplating the answer. With Mineko's statement about being allowed into the next game if they're still alive, Zero considers that they might not need to guess right. He believes that if they can proceed without guessing the correct number, then guessing right might not be essential to winning the game, so long as you can survive an iron ball to the dome. Zero continues to ponder over Mineko's words and notices something odd about her previous dice throws. Firstly, she didn't explicitly state that the screen would show them the dice inside the container. She merely mentioned that if she threw the dice, the participants would see a dice on the screen. There was no mention of it showing the face of the dice she tossed. Zero speculates that the dice shown on the screen were actually thrown into the container in the opposite direction the 4th time, meaning what they saw on the screen was completely fake. If that's the case, Mineko didn't roll 1 3 times in a row. Therefore, the probability of getting 1 is just 1 of 6, like any other number. With that said, he enters the 2nd ring, still unsure if it's the correct answer. Good thing he's a math professor, so he could make that absolute guess. After hearing Zero's explanation, the participants leave the 1st ring. Our hero sits near the walls of the ring and his friends follow him, putting their trust in him. This leaves Shirube as the only person left in the 1st ring. Yukihira, one of the participants, overhears this and murmurs something in Saigi's ears. With only 3 minutes remaining, the duo calls Chikara and informs him that the actual answer is number 3. They do this because they want to sit near the ring's walls like Shirube and Zero, but they are also aware that if they do so, other participants will follow suit. They thus lie to Chikara that 3 is the answer so they can deceive him. When other participants attempt to enter the 3rd ring, Saigi quietly informs them that it's not the correct answer and that they're just trying to trap Chikara. Now, with 1 minute left, another participant yells out that the correct answer is 5. He reasons that this is because 5 appears most frequently when rolling a dice. Everyone enters ring number 5, but when Sakura tries to join, he's kicked out. Zero also confirms the hypothesis that 5 might be correct. This is because dice are crafted unevenly, causing opposite sides to have different weights, shifting the center of mass. Thus, 5 is the most probable side to turn up in a randomized experiment. His friends then ask if they should switch rings, but Zero insists on staying where they are. In fact, he tells Chikara to join him in ring number 2, claiming Saigi is trying to trick him. With 10 seconds left and nothing else in mind, Sakura enters ring number 4. The guards then lock the door, preventing anyone from changing their location. Realizing that Chikara will likely be crushed under the iron ball, Zero decides to help his friend. He jumps from one ring to the other, moving Chikara away from the center. Zero then instructs him to keep his knees up, back against the edge, and sit attached to the fence. As time runs out, everyone hopes their ring number is correct. Mineko opens the container shortly afterwards, and it's revealed that the correct answer is 4. It appears only Sakura has won, and everyone else will face death. Soon, the iron balls are launched, and fortunately, all those sitting near the fence survive. This is when Zero tells Chikara that he had no idea what the right answer was, because he thought the game wasn't about guessing which face comes up. When Mineko said that anyone in the ring when the game ends can still enter the next game, Zero realized the point wasn't which face comes up. She was simply trying to see if they're observant enough to notice a gap between the iron ball and the ring. However, Zero didn't know the size of the iron ball, which is why he wasn't completely confident. The surviving participants are excited by their escape, but their mood quickly changes when they see the chaos in ring number 5, where everyone has been crushed to death. Mineko then announces that the remaining participants in the rings can enter the main competition. She's about to question Zero about violating the rules, but one of her minions whispers something in her ear. It turns out that CEO Murio has decided to overlook Zero's rule violation because he believes things are going to get more interesting. Following this, the participants are brought to the park, Dream Kingdom, where the next game, Quarter Jump, will be played. Mineko announces that Shirube and Zero will go head-to-head against each other. The latter will go first, and Mineko then briefs him about the rules. He'll stand on an elevated platform 50 feet above the ground with a mask covering his entire face. Around his platform will be 4 other platforms, placed 1 foot away from the central one. 3 of these will be closed off so that Zero will have only one safe exit. His mask will then be removed, so he can look around for 10 seconds. After the time is up, he'll put his mask back on, and the platform will rotate. Then, Zero has to jump in the right direction towards the safe exit. If he jumps towards any of the 3 closed-off directions, he'll fall 50 feet below, losing not only the game, but also his life. He cannot throw things to check for safety, because doing so would disqualify him. It is also revealed that if both participants jump correctly, the one who uses less time wins. To add a sick twist to the game, 4 people associated with the participant will be placed on 4 sides of the central platform. 3 of these will be behind the closed doors, and only 1 will be on the safe exit. These 4 people will act as voices and encourage the participant to move towards their own direction. Whoever is successful in doing so will earn 1 golden ring. Mineko adds that the person who attains 4 such gold rings will become Sonic and will win the cash prize. Moments later, the game begins and the platform starts rotating. Completely disoriented, Zero can't recognize where the safe exit is. The 10-minute timer begins and he hears his friend Hiroshi's voice coming from the closed exit. Hiroshi shouts out that he volunteered for the game to save his friend, claiming he's in the safe area. He advises Zero to jump towards his direction, expressing his relief that he can finally be helpful. Zero knows that his friend would never tell him to jump towards the unsafe area, even if someone pointed a gun at him. However, before taking the leap, he decides to test Hiroshi once more. Zero asks him work-related questions, which the latter answers accurately. Despite this, our hero decides to ask one last question before making his decision. He tells Hiroshi to look at the hands of his glasses, on the spot where they hook onto his ears. That part contains numbers and symbols representing the measurements of the frame and lenses. Zero, having an exceptional memory, had remembered the numbers as he had seen them earlier that day. He simply wants Hiroshi to repeat those out loud. In a stroke of genius, this is where the imposter gets caught. It turns out that Zaizen Group's men had earlier deceived Hiroshi into thinking he was helping Zero. In reality, they were actually recording his voice for a speech synthesis system to create an AI replica, a terrifying possibility for us all. When the imposter claims he bought the glasses a long time ago and the readings are gone, Zero immediately senses something is off. He exposes the imposter and saves himself from falling to his death. After the first failed attempt, it's now time for the second voice to convince Zero to jump towards him. That person is Zero's high school classmate and one of the participants, Kazuma. Earlier that day, he had protected Zero from being beaten up by Saigi's group. This act of kindness strengthens his claims of being on the safe exit. Kazuma then says out loud that he always looked up to Zero in high school and took inspiration from his sharp mind. While he talks, it's revealed that Kazuma is standing on the unsafe exit and actually wants Zero to die. It seems he's brought some personal grudge to the game, which Zero is completely unaware of. The mystery of whether Zero will believe his old high school friend will only be revealed
in the next exciting episode of Dragon Ball Z.
Aloud. Thank you for watching.